Hello guys, my name is Venti and welcome to Venting Out. Today I'll be talking about Navi and the change that they need to become a better team. Now, while they have made semi-finals of Epicenter and even won ESL 1 New York, uh, definitely very impressive results, they have been very inconsistent in terms of performing in other tournaments. For example, I am Oakland. They did really poorly. They didn't make it out of groups. The easy group at that. They got beaten by Liquid, a very struggling Liquid at this. E League Season 2. They didn't make it out of a group with SK. Who was it? Let's see. Um, it was SK and I'm gonna get this. Jesus Christ. Uh, on a team with in a group, sorry, with SK and Australis. Right, Australis. Uh, Admittedly, these two teams, well, Australis particularly, have seen a resurgence lately. Where is it? The page that I had open. This is it. Admittedly, Australis have had a resurgence lately, where they have performed very well um in the most recent tournament, I am Oakland, which is the group that they were with Navi in. And definitely impressive stuff. SK also not an easy team to beat, but I still think that Navi should have made it out of this group. Uh, they also underperformed severely at Star Ladder, where they went out in last place in their group, but that was their first match tournament as a team. So even IEM Oakland alone is a cause for concern because a team of the stature of Navi, with players like Simple, who is currently the best player in the world in my opinion, for my money, or or definitely I wouldn't say that he's the best actually, but he's definitely among the best. Uh, so with a player like him and veterans like Edward, like Guardian, and a name and the star who really shone through in 2016 like Flamey, they shouldn't be doing so poorly. And I think they're doing very poorly because um of the coach rule that was introduced right after they took out their previous in-game leader for simple because they said, you know what, Zeus was their in-game leader for some time, but now we've got Starix, he's our coach and our coach is in-game leading. Then Valve said, you know what, we're removing coaches and we and that left Navi out in the dry. They couldn't do anything, right? They Starix was basically useless. He couldn't do a fraction of the things that he used to do with the team before. Uh, so then C's decided to, or these are the rumors at least. We don't have team comms, and nobody has those except for the teams themselves. So we can't know for sure. But I think, I mean, I could on analyst desks, but if I'd imagine that they have pretty that they would know for sure, with a very high chance of, with a very high probability of it being true that C's was in game leading for Navi, uh, which as a result, if I can find this HOTV uh profile, is that no, that's Edward, that is C's, right? So as we can see, these are the events that he had with Navi. 0. 0.7, 0.8397, A8, 77, all terrible. The last event that he's in in-game lead, 1.04, 1.10, 0.9, 103. Uh, not as many reds. Definitely not 5 in a row. Definitely not like, not that many. Not he hasn't been that bad for a very long time. I think he might have had a really bad streak at some point. I mean, he did have 4 here. But the in-game leading aspect of the game has definitely impacted him negatively. So I just realized it's probably a good idea to cut all this off. But whatever, it's too late. Right, so this has impacted C's negatively, and he's been doing really poorly for Navi. Now he's not the only player that's been doing poorly. Well, the whole team has been, but another player that's been doing poorly is Edward. He has had 5 events with negative kill differential, which is the most consecutive events that he's had with negative kill differential is two, and this was one case where it happened here, in Sivo Season A and DreamHack Cluj-Napoca, which are two tournaments. This was the major. They reached the final here, so obviously something must have been going right. Something that people very often misunderstand is that if a player was playing bad, it was definitely that he was bad for his team. That's not necessarily the case. If Edward was playing bad, but he was playing for the team and making sacrifices for the team, then that's fine. And he must have, because the team played pretty well until they reached the final and got destroyed by Envious. Guardian was having a superstar performance as well. But other than that, he's never had any events, any any events in a row where he had a negative kill differential. Always the one, then positive, positive, negative, positive, 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 etc. Five, five. Edward has been playing really badly. He is, I'd imagine, one of those players who needs a structure around him, a good solid structure with an in-game leader to play around him. Is my presumption at least. I mean, all out of the blue, make a roster change 5 events. Maybe it was the result of them switching positions. These are all LAN events, by the way, in case and for seasons as well. They're all LAN events. So it may very well have been that Simple came in and he took a position that Edward used to play, or several positions that Edward used to play, or maybe someone had to take Zeus's position, which caused a chain effect that meant that Edward lost his position. Very well may have meant that, but my presumption is that Edward is the type of player who needs this solid in-game leader, this solid structure around him to play well. Uh, and Navi in C's, they don't have a good, dedicated, tactical, sound in-game leader. Now, if we want to talk about Simple, he has I think that's Simple, yeah. He has 110 kill dev difference, which is by far the highest on his team. Um, and he's definitely been the star player of his team, and most success that they've had was due to him. Most of the rounds, or many of the rounds that they won, was because of impact kills that he got. He has been getting a lot, not just kills, impact kills. He has the highest percentage, uh, um, where the team won after the first pick. Admittedly, not by much, but he's definitely had impact when he has had those kills, and he's had the most kills on the team. Admittedly, quite a few deaths, not that good compared to the rest of his teammates, but you can't really blame him. Simple is definitely one of the better players on Navi right now. Another player that's been doing well, and I don't think should be considered for being cut, is actually I was talking about Flamey. He's had a kill difference of -6, but he's getting, I think so at least. Let me check. Yeah, but compared to his teammates, he's been getting a lot of kills. Actually, second most kills after Simple. Um, yeah, not much to say about Flamey. He's been putting up numbers, and maybe it is the case that he hasn't been putting up impact kills. And had he done that, then Navi wouldn't be in that much trouble. So, you can't really. I mean, if it was the case that Flame was putting up numbers and impact, and so was Simple, then you'd have two-star players who are both having great impact, and then Navi wouldn't be in trouble. And that's part of the problem, that there's no facility in Navi for their kills to mean something, for their kills to be impactful, because it's not just the player that gets the kill and his skill that determines whether a kill is impactful or not. It's the structure around the team and all that stuff. It's a really big chain effect, chain chain effect. Is that correct? That happens, that follows through, and that determines whether whether a kill has impact or not, whether the his teammates capitalize on that. Because even if a kill is impactful, if his teammates don't capitalize on it and win the, if he's in if he's in a 3v2 with a teammate and he gets two kills and then gets traded and his teammate loses the 1v1, the two kills that he got are still very impactful. However, they don't win the round, so can you really call them impactful? I don't think so. If there's nobody to throw a good flashbang for him, if there's nobody to play the hard spots, so they allow him to play the easy spots and allow him to get more kills, then that means that he's not getting as many impactful kills, which is very important in a team. So I don't think Flamey should be considered to be caught because he's putting up numbers, and that shows that he's still got that at the moment. His aim is going nowhere, and he's still got good aim, which is what you want from an aimer who's going to get kills. Now we get into the mediocre territory. Guardian, he has, I think, third most kills. Yeah, third most kills on the team, obviously behind Flamey Simple respectively. Um, he barely has a positive differential. With that being said, Flamey does have negative. Um, I think the situation with Guardian is very similar to that of Flamey, except it's much more severe, where he's not even being put in the correct situations by his in-game leader when uh where so um in this case the structure, or the lack of such structure I should say, has such a big impact on him that he's not put in the right places at the right times, like he's not put in the right places for himself to get AWP shots, to give him a good chance of getting AWP shots, to prevent rushes. He's not perhaps playing in comfortable positions. Uh, Now, after his injury, or ever since, he hasn't been the same Guardian. He hasn't been putting up very good numbers. So he has played really badly. Actually, I haven't looked at it, but if we go to event history and make it to all time lands, we can see here he's had some reds, but that's nothing unreasonable. These are very odd events. Now, let's see. Where is I'm looking for Catavita here. One, a kill differential of one, is the event that famously he played really badly in, and then he made a comeback in Counterpit where he played amazingly, carried his team to win it. Then at MOG Columbus, he was terrible. He had to even play with five sensitivity, or five times his, or four times something like that, his sensitivity in the final. So his hand injury is still having effect there. Then he came back halfway through DreamHack Malmu, which is why he has 1.09 rating, yet only a plus 15 kill differential. As far as I remember, I think so. And then you can see that he hasn't had as many, as frequent and as high, uh, ratings, except for the 139, which contained very crap teams at the time. So, and you can see much more reds here. What within 5 events here, he's had 3 reds, and within his hand injury, he's had what? Actually, that's when his hand injury was. So, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 out of 12, he's had 4 events, 4 bad events. And here, you can clearly see it's much less frequent. So the hand injury has definitely had an impact on him. But he is definitely playing worse without the structure around him. So you can see it's impacting him as well. I talked about Seized and Edward here. Um, so based on everything that I've said here, I think that if there is a player that should be cut, I think, considering the player that I'm bringing in, it's not necessarily always going to be this player that I'll cut, but considering the player that I'll bring in, which I'll tell you in a second, guys, I think the best player to cut is Seized, because Seized, um, when Simple came in as the third superstar, Seized is no longer needed as this insurance policy that Florian loves to call him, and I really agree with and I really like the term because I think it describes him very well. If Guardian and Flamey are not both going on full speed, then Seized will make up for that loss. But now that they have Simple, who's a consistent superstar, especially now in form, and I don't know if it's just form, it might very well be that he's just that consistent and he's that much of a phenom. But now that you have Simple consistently putting up big numbers, you don't even need Guardian to carry to the extent that he used to carry before. You need one of them to show up to a particular extent. You need one of them to, if Simple picks up in a 40 round game, if Simple picks up like 27 or 28 kills, you need God, and obviously he's not going to do that all the time. He's going to pick up like 24, 23 sometimes, but he's always going to be above 22, I'd say 23, Simple. So if you have Guardian on 22, on 23, on 20 consistently, or Flamey doing that. I have one of them. I think Navi has enough firepower, considering that Flamey or Guardian is not playing like freaking terrible, like freaking you know, one digit kills by the end of the game. I think that's enough firepower for them. So I don't think Caesars need as this insurance policy that much anymore because they have Simple, they have Freestars, they have. I'm trying to think of a good example to give you. Of a team which had uh Freestars who could show. Well, I mean, if you look at Navi, sorry, if you look at Fnatic, with Dennis prior to all of Meister's injury, uh, you had. Actually, that's not a very good example. Okay, scratch that I said that. But my point is that obviously, if you have 3 stars, it's very rare that you have the 3 stars going all at the same time. However, Navi don't need the 3 stars to go off at the same time. They need 2 stars to go off at the same time, and I think that can be very easily achieved. Even if one of them is having a bad game, which is pretty much well, not necessarily a bad game, but compared to the other players, an average game. If they're getting like 15 to 18 kills, that's not that big of a deal. If Flamey's getting 15 to 18 kills, but you don't have Simple being the star, and he has to be the star, then that's bad. But if you have Simple being the star, then that's alright. So my point is that you don't need Seized to be your insurance policy because you're insured. Simple as. Right. So I remove Seized. But why don't you remove Edward? This way, you'd have Seized, who's an insurance policy, just in case. Then you'd have Simple, Guardian, Flamey, who are your 3 superstars. So now you have almost like 4 superstars. How cool is that? Obviously the person who's coming in, who as you're gonna see is not necessarily a superstar, as many wouldn't call him a superstar. Um, that doesn't work. You can't make a team with 4 star players. You need somebody like Edward who is going to pick up the sack, who's going to pick up the positions no one wants to play, who's going to be the Neo of Edward, the Neo of Navi. The Edward is the Neo of Navi. As Neo is in Vox Pro. Right. You need somebody who's going to play these hard spots. You need someone to facilitate the star players on the team. You need somebody who's going to sacrifice himself, somebody who's mature enough to understand that, somebody who has a lot of experience, who knows what the stars need because he has been a star himself. Sorry. Um, somebody who's a veteran and somebody, very importantly, who has a very big voice on the team that people are going to respect. You need somebody like that on the team. It's very essential. Right, so with all that being said, Navi has enough firepower. What they don't have is an in-game leader, a competent in-game leader who can who is going to tactically outplay the opponents, who's going to be able to read the opponents, who's going to be able to play his players as chess pieces on the map, who's going to be able to make players impact frags, who's going to give them a higher chance of getting impact frags. And the player that I'm thinking of, and I obviously with in-game leaders, it's very hard to judge them on their in-game leading because you don't have any comms. Because very often, as is the case with Russians, Ukrainians. They speak in a different language, so you can't really understand even if you had voice comms, as we did in I Am Katowice 2015. Um, I think. Um, it's very hard to know who's a good in-game leader. And plus, I haven't followed the scene since 1.6, so I wouldn't know because this in-game leader was an in-game leader in 1.6. But from having watched Foreign and him talking about this player, I gather that he's a very good in-game leader, and he's a one of those masterminding game leaders, and that's Blade. And admittedly, there's not many other good in-game leaders in the scene right now, other than bringing back Zeus. But he's not really. He's more of a like a loose type of in-game lead. I think Blade is a much better in-game leader, and now that Navi don't need firepower, I think they can sacrifice this aspect of their game to bringing someone like Blade, who is known as a best in-game leader. And it's not just Foreign saying that, by the way. It's all the scene. It's a lot of people who followed 1.6 say that he was a great in-game leader at the time, and you can see with Flipside that even without much talent, they made the quarterfinals, the top eight of the major. So Blade definitely knows what he's doing, even if he's not as good as people make him out to be. He is, however, from what I've heard, a great strategic in-game leader. So that's exactly what Navi needs. Um, to talk generally about the scene right now, after Valve made the coach rule change where coaches are not allowed to speak, a coach, an in-game leader player is much more needed than his firepower. Before, teams, you see teams going for more firepower and have the coach as the in-game leader. Now this has changed, and this is all going to change as well. Because now teams are going to have to consider that they need a in-game leader within one of their 5 players, which means that they have 4 players as their stars, as their firepower. So firepower is not as essential anymore because the firepower of the whole scene is gonna go down gradually, and the whole water level is gonna rise down. So as long as Navi stay within this water level that's going down, they'll be fine compared to all the other teams. And what else would you compare them to, right? You compare teams to other teams. So if something changes universally for all teams, then it's fine that you say, you know what, we can allow ourselves to do that as well. So bringing in Blade, definitely not the player who can frag very well, but he's an in-game leader who will utilize the players that can frag in a much better way to have much more impact. Um, so a good in-game leader is not something that many teams have. You can see that um, Virtus Pro don't have a stable in-game leader who is able to lead their players. They keep on changing it. They don't have a consistent one. You can see that a lot of the teams that used to be good before that don't have in-game, or some of the teams that used to be good before that don't have an in-game leader now. Actually, as a counter contrast, you can see SK and Dignitas doing very well, who both have a very good in-game leader, a very good tactical in-game leader. So that is something to consider, that these two teams have in-game leaders that are doing so well compared to the other teams that don't have as good in-game leaders. You can see Australis and FaZe bringing a new in-game leader, a new face to their team, a new aspect, a new way to play the game almost. With their in-game leader, you can see them improving drastically. FaZe with their new in-game leader improving drastically because they have so much firepower. They just needed the in-game leader to make them better. You can see how essential an in-game leader is at this stage. Before, not so much. You'd have your coach be the in-game leader and 5 star players in game. Kind of bashed on this, to be honest. Made my point clear earlier. Anyways, by bringing in Blade, as I said with FaZe, this will give a new face to your team. It will make you reconsider a lot of the things. And I think Navi right now, they are a very established team, and that usually is something good. But Counter Strike is changing rapidly with the coach with the new coach rule, with people playing nuke a lot. with even Inferno on the horizon coming into the competitive map pool. Things are changing rapidly in the scene, and teams like Na'Vi, who have an established way of playing the game, who have an established mentality for the game, it will be good to revamp this whole mentality by bringing in a new in-game leader. Perhaps they start playing Cash. Simple is a monster on Cash. It's one of his best maps. It's a map that players like Guardian and Flamey can have much more freedom to do what they want, to find picks, to find frags, to find impact kills. For Simple to make info plays. Uh, Maybe perhaps that's one of the things that they bring back into their pool. Um, Maybe they give a chance to many maps that they didn't consider before, like like um like Cash. They find other maps that perhaps they're good on, and they improve as a team, and much more beyond just maps. Other things as well. It's not just about maps. It's about their playstyle. It's about all of these things. Right. So they bring in Blade in. So now what? How would you structure the team? Well, to define the roles a little bit, um, I'm gonna I'm gonna explain what the players would do and how the general system will work. Right, so Blade is the in-game leader. He doesn't need to frag. He just needs to keep control of their players and control the game. Keep track on the minimap and make reason the opponents based off calls on the map. That's his job. Edward is the support player. He's supposed to be the guy that's taking sacrifices on CT sides. He's playing the spots that nobody else wants to play with, and he's playing best spots to his best ability so that he can make the best out of the worst situations. And he's letting the stars play the good spots. Um, Edward is somebody who's going to be throwing flashbangs on T sides, smokes on T sides. He's going to be prioritizing nades over armor on pistol rounds. He's going to be prioritizing nades over. He's going to be sacrificing a glow instead of an AK to buy more nades for his team. He's going to be sacrificing helmet to buy more nades for his team. He's going to be doing all of these things to facilitate the star players, general support player. He's getting older. He cannot frag as good as Simple or as good as Flamey. So he's a veteran player who knows what many of these star players need, who has a lot of experience with the game itself, who has a lot of knowledge about the game. He could be the in-game leader's right-hand man. He's not. He, Obviously, I wouldn't know because I've never fucking spoken to Edward, but he's to me, considering that he's never taken the initiative even now to in-game lead, he's the sort of player who has a lot of ideas about the game. Obviously, because he's a very smart player, very well known for his clutches, which requires a lot of brains. Um, but he doesn't seem like the sort of person who will take the initiative to in-game lead and to tell players how to play, where to play, and to some extent micromanage them. So that makes him the perfect player to be the right hand man of somebody like Blade, to be somebody who's going to be putting in a voice as well, putting in another opinion. If Blade makes a call and he doesn't agree with the call, they can discuss it. In timeouts, he can for example spot what somebody's doing wrong and and feed it into Blade. Then Blade can make better tactical decisions about the setup that they want to play on T side. Or on CT side actually, on both sides you play a setup. Anyways, so that's Blade and Edward. Um, Now you have the three star players. Right, let's start with Simple because he's the easiest one. Just fucking let him do whatever the fuck he wants. On CT side, give him the spots that he asks for. Give him uh the spots that he's comfortable with. On T side, let him do whatever the hell he wants. He has such good in-game game sense. What was I saying? Game sense? I don't know. He has a very good game sense in game. He knows what decisions to make and what fights to take. He knows to what extent to take them, and he knows all these things. He's good in clutch situations as well. He knows how to play. He knows when he needs to play fast, when he needs to play slow, when he needs to do all these things. So let him have the freedom and don't micromanage him as if he is somebody like Flamey, who is admittedly not as smart at the game, but he's an aimer. Let Simple do his thing. Let him make info plays, calculated info plays from time to time. Um, Let him, whenever he feels like it, pick up an orb, find picks. Even with a naked, go into position to find picks whenever he feels like he needs to find picks. Whenever he feels like it would be a good idea to find picks. Let him lurk whenever he feels like he needs to lurk, whenever he feels like the backstab is incoming. Let him do all these things and give him the freedom that he needs. With Flamey, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. You can give him um, positions on CG side like he's comfortable with, but put him in positions where you know he's gonna have impact for the team, where you know that his positioning, uh, or sorry, the angles that he will watch are important for the team. Play him on the bomb side that Blade thinks will be important to watch for the team. Basically playing like a turret on CG side. Put him in a spot and basically let him get kills as people are coming in. On the T side, put him in as the third player in or something. Uh, Simple will probably be the second player in if there's a push or the entry fragger or something like that. Then Flamey will be the third man in, who will pick up kills on angles that Simple's already checked and pushed in. Then just sit on the bomb site and play like a turret from the bomb site after the bomb's been planted. Uh, that's how I played Flamey. And when it comes to Guardian, on the CT side, put him in long range orb spots. Just give him an orb spot where he watches down down an angle, and he just shoots someone when he comes in. He just flicks to them when they come in, when they peek him. Just let him do that and let him find picks early on. Let him be the first encounter that terrorists have to face when they face him on you. Play him in is it called mini garage or is that the hut? No, sorry, that's big garage. Yeah, play him in big garage. Sorry about that. Play him in big garage and let him watch down the line. Let him spot for players and make sure that nobody gets out. He's good at hitting those shots. He has good reaction time. He has good flicking. He's able to hit those shots. On the T side, let him find picks. Put him in spots where you think he can find picks. Put him in spots where, in case the CT's push, he'll get the kill. Put him in spots where he for example, on Cash, play him towards that B side where he can find the angle with the CT. Play him towards mid, towards boost where he can find those picks. On Dust 2, play him on middle, through the doors where he can tag someone. Play him on long where he can find where he can take the duel with the other sniper. On the team sometimes snipers go there. Or with a rifler. Doesn't really matter. To be fair. Um, on maps like that, just play him on the open spots where he can find a pick, etc. To give his team an advantage. And obviously these two players, Flamey and Guardian, will be playing the positions they prefer based on how they're performing because you can expect Simple to perform pretty consistently given the amount of freedom he gets because he's like your main star, your superstar player. The two other stars, the secondary stars, kind of rude to call them that, but that's essentially what they are behind Simple. Based on whoever's hitting more shots, based on whoever's playing better, sorry, give him the better spots that he can thrive in more. Blade, I'd imagine, considering how good an in-game leader he's spoken of as, he's the sort of player who would be able to do these things. Um, so if you play Navi like this, on the T side, you have Simple who's making these great decisions, taking fights whenever he feels like it, and thus Navi being a very unpredictable team in the early game. Maybe Simple doesn't take a fight. Maybe he watches an angle. Maybe he plays on Squeaky and Cash and waits for the player to peek him and just kills him when he peeks him because he has a feeling somebody's gonna push there. Maybe he lurks the whole round. Or maybe other times he pop flashes out of main, runs out, kills two people, take the bomb site. You never know with Simple. On the other hand, Flamey and Guardian, you don't know where Guardian is gonna peek you to take the duel with you. You don't know where Guardian will, Guardian will take the duel, or if he'll just be waiting for the angle, waiting for you to push. That makes it very hard for you to make aggressive info plays because Guardian's gonna hit 99% of those shots. Well, not literally, but you get what I mean. Of the shots where you peek him because he's a really good stationary AWPer. Or if Flamey is doing better on the particular T side, then put him in these positions. Obviously not the exact same positions because versus an AWPer and AK is not that good. But put him in positions where he can thrive in and achieve the same things that Guardian can. Um, so And then obviously you have Flamey and Blade, not Flamey, sorry, Edward and Blade, who are the two veterans in the team, who are the ones who are making the big decisions, who's gonna play where, uh, who are playing support players for the star players, who are throwing the smoke, flashes, and making sacrifices for the team. If Navi realize to do that, I think they'll be a very good team because then it's not like they have a lot of talented players, which somehow worked with Fnatic, and that's pretty much the only one, and Envy as well. But then they flopped. Um, so then you don't just have a whole load of stars put together. You have a structured team. You have what I think is the formula for uh one of the best teams. So I think that's the way Navi go from here, and that's the way that they improve. Thank you guys for watching, and see you guys next time. Bye bye.